But it was 5 beautiful women and we sat in the ocean for 15 minutes just talking. Never met them before, didn't know them from online, and that sparked a whole lot of greatness that has eventuated over the last 2 years and led me to this moment.
There is rarely a life untouched by hardship or challenge. On this podcast, we invite our guests to share their very personal stories. We harness the wisdom and resilience of our guests, which has shaped who they are today.
Carl Rogers said, "That which is most personal is in fact most universal." Together we'll be inspired to embrace the resilience in our own stories and to gain strength in the face of adversity and have a few laughs along the way.
Hi, I'm Donna.
And I'm Di. We are the Double Ds and welcome to the Discovery Diaries.
We acknowledge the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which we are recording this podcast. We pay our respects to the elders past and present and acknowledge their spiritual connection to family and storytelling.
Both Donna and Di were born here on these lands. We are grateful to draw on the culture of telling and sharing stories, and we hope that you will draw inspiration from the stories that are shared here. So today we are hearing from Tara Jeisman, and Tara has a great story where she turns one viral TikTok into a community that has now grown to over 25,000 followers later. So she's got up to 300 gals dipping during the summer in just a space of 2 years. Tara is currently completing her Masters of Counselling, and her hope and aim is to work for Seagulls full-time whilst tending to her passion, which is working with women's mental health. She says that she's really found her love of the ocean and found herself through running Seagulls. Hi Tara, welcome. We're really looking forward to speaking with you today. I was just reflecting on how we met, and it's been pretty recent actually, but what you might not know is that I have been following you for a while.
Oh.
So I had noticed Seagulls, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but we did sort of more formally meet recently through another charity called 20 Talk, and I've just kind of been a champion from the sidelines of them, and I think they maybe mentioned me to you, was that right?
Yes. So Lockie O'Donoghue put me in touch with you and he said, talk to this woman. She is amazing. Di Murray. And I said, absolutely. So I slid into your LinkedIn DMs and we teed something up after a bit of back and forth. And yes, it was so lovely to meet you. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago now.
Only as recent as that. And I said, we've got to have you on here if you're happy to. So we're delighted that you're here.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So Tara, look, there's lots of places we could start, but let's start with you and tell us a little bit about what you'd like our listeners to know about you, who you are.
Well, I'm 25. We're currently sitting in a building of a campus that I used to do my Bachelor of Psychology and Honours at. So I'm having a bit of a blast from the past, which is very nice. I'm currently completing my Masters of Counselling at ECU and I'll graduate in the middle of next year. So that I'm very excited for. And I am the founder of Women's Community Seagulls. And I dabble a little bit in social media. So that's I do a lot of things and it's very tiring, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
So much for someone so young.
We seem to have a theme of people who've done psychology degrees. I think that's coming through. So I did read about the start of Seagulls, which you had a good friend who took a photo or a video of themselves swimming at 5:45 a.m. at the beach, and then you thought, I'm going to give that a go.
Yeah.
And so just carry on with that story and how it went.
Yeah, absolutely. Asha, my best friend, she has always been a beach gal, and for some reason I chose the wrong times of the day to go to the beach and ended up hating it. I was always a beach kid, loved the beach in the morning, but as I transitioned into adolescence and all of my friends went to the beach, I it just wasn't my thing, even though I lived 10 minutes from the beach. So I had seen a lot of community movements on social media before where they go to the beach for sunrise dips. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll do it. But something in my soul just said, let's not. Let's not. It's not for you, Tara. And then I saw Asha post on her Instagram story and I went, oh my gosh, that looks so beautiful. Like just the pink clouds, the calm ocean, because surprise, I'm scared of waves. I'm very, very scared of waves and them knocking me over and getting stuck. So like stuck between the sand and the wave. So I never really ventured to the beach because I always thought, oh, I'm not entirely sure how the surf is going to be. But looking at this ocean, I thought, why have I never done this? So I, set my alarm, filmed it on TikTok because at that point I was doing a lot of social media work on TikTok and it was starting to become my work, my career. It was starting to look like something that I could actually invest my time in, take a step away from my checkout chick job at the local IGA in my community. So I posted it on TikTok and it got a few thousand views of me just waking up and going to the beach.
Did you say a few thousand views?
I think so. I can't remember how many views it was.
But
a lot.
Quite quickly.
Very quickly. And a lot of people within the Perth community that are involved in sunrise dipping groups and maybe their whole aesthetic and personality online is the beach and the ocean or surfing. A lot of people commented and said, wow, like, well done you. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I just kind of hopped in the ocean, filmed it, came out and said to the camera, look, I did it. And it was a really rewarding experience. But the main thing I got out of that was there were so many comments from women that said, I want to do this too, but I've never had anyone to go with, or I'm too scared to go to the beach by myself. Oh, what bikini is that? It looks great. I'm not entirely sure what to wear myself. I'm too nervous. And I just said, let's all go together. And there were thousands of comments. So I wasn't entirely sure what was going to eventuate from this. But I remember turning to my partner the night before I'd organised this and I said, I think I have made a mistake here. I could have invited a bunch of crazies to the beach that have followed me for a long time. They might follow me back to my house and then might, just all of these possibilities that I didn't think of before just came to the surface. And I thought, oh my gosh, I think I've put myself in a bit of a safety risk here just with social media. You never know these days. But it was 5 beautiful women and we sat in the ocean for 15 minutes just talking. Never met them before, didn't know them from online, and that sparked a whole lot of greatness that has eventuated over the last 2 years and led me to this moment.
Fantastic. And what did those women that came that first time, were they regular beachgoers or were they people that also, like you, had never really had the courage to go to the beach?
Half and half. One of the women, she was a fitness influencer, so she's very beach orientated. I got on with her really well. There were a few girls who were FIFO workers. Another girl had never been to the beach and she didn't go in the water at that time, but she still came, and that was an important step for her. So yeah, definitely a mixture.
Fantastic. And now you were saying you have kind of events or dips at least once a week in summer. Is that right?
Yeah. We're starting to do 2 a week in summer, but as we're moving into the cooler months, it's turning into when the weather permits.
Yes. And how many would be an average of people that go in your summer dips?
So this summer we reached 300 attendees, which I never thought I would get to. And also because I didn't expect that to happen, I very quickly had to go down to JB Hi-Fi, get a big speaker so people could hear me because my little megaphone from Officeworks was not cutting it anymore. I had a lot of people in the back going, we can't hear you. And it just turned into this, oh my goodness, we need microphones, we need this. And people are saying, you need those big flags so people can see you. Then the City of Stirling lifeguards started to know us. They'd raise their hands and wave when we were down there. And then in winter, we get a really nice core group of gals that come down. So we're averaging about 20 girls at the moment, which is really nice because you actually get to have those conversations. And that's where Sea Gals all started. In summer, it's great because you've got so many different women and you can get the content and you can do all these awesome things, but you miss out on those conversations because it's just an absolute chaotic event. As an attendee, you can sit down and have those conversations, but me personally running it's a bit difficult.
This episode is brought to you by Impact Society. Impact Society is a company focused on helping everyday managers become world-changing leaders. They provide straightforward and stylish tools, training and content to elevate leadership skills and mindsets and help leaders thrive both at work and in life. I personally know the company founders, Sean and Joel, and they have set up Impact Society as they saw a gap in the market for leadership training for technically based staff that wasn't as expensive or as lengthy as an MBA or other leadership courses at university. So essentially they've scratched their own itch. They both come from technical backgrounds, and then Joel set up his own consultancy company, and Sean has been in diverse leadership roles in government and the private sector. We are especially excited about Impact Society bringing you this episode because they have a new product, a strategic planning toolkit, which is designed to help leaders put in place a straightforward strategic plan that any organisation or team can follow. As many of us know, strategic planning is not the easiest or the most straightforward thing to do. So this toolkit, I've had a good look at it myself. It's completely clear, easy to follow. There's checklists, there's emails, everything you could need to put in place a strategic plan. And for our listeners of the Double D's podcast, there's a 20% discount on this strategic planning toolkit. You just need to go to impactsociety.co, and in the discount code, when you purchase the strategic planning toolkit, you put in the discount code Double D's, so Double DS at the checkout, and then you'll get your 20% discount. So we would encourage anyone, especially people who are new into leadership roles, to check it out.
So it's really interesting as you start to talk about the difference between the numbers even. Why does it matter to you so much that you actually get those smaller numbers so that those conversations can take place?
I think if you had asked me this question a year ago, it would have been a very different answer. I think when we all start somewhere, we go, oh, how cool would it be to have 100 people? Oh, you hit the 100. How cool would it be to have 200 people? And you're constantly looking forward. When you get to those numbers and you get to that moment that you've looked so much forward to, you realise what you've missed and didn't really take into account 3 steps back. So when we were having these smaller conversations, it was great at the time when Sea Girls first started, but it was only when I got to summer and we had these massive groups of girls that I started to get burnt out because I wasn't getting that meaningful connection with these women that I was getting right at the start. And I actually started to get burnt out and dreading waking up early in the morning and running Sea Girls. And that's the complete opposite of what I want out of this. I want to feel connected. I want to wake up in the morning. So I think the reason why it's so important to me to have those numbers that are a lot smaller is because you actually get the full meaning of Sea Girls. For me personally running it, it could be completely different to an attendee, but as a team member, it makes a whole world of difference.
So what is that meaning for you? What do you want it to mean and what does it mean to you?
I think being able to talk to women in a space that you know is going to be supportive, flexible and welcoming is so refreshing, and you feel like you actually get to talk to someone, even if it's just when we give our girls a prompt, it could be something as simple as, what are 3 things you're grateful for? You get a slight insight into someone else's world that you might not even be a part of, aware of. Someone who has come from a different background to you, you could learn things, you could take something from them and add it into your life. And just being able to have those conversations rather than all this small talk these days. Like obviously when you're bypassing someone or meeting someone for the first time and you think, I'm never going to meet you again. We kind of have this thing of, oh, I don't really need to invest in them because I'm only going to see them one time. But when you're sitting down with women and you know that you're going to run into the ocean together and it's going to be this liberating, empowering experience, it's nice to sit down and just connect and break that wall of fear of judgment. So that's what I've gathered from these chats. Yeah.
I can really relate to that because I've been going to the sauna on South Beach every week, and it's something about 8 people sitting in a sauna together, all wearing bathers, that for some reason you end up having these massive conversations. Sometimes it's not much conversation, but sometimes you find out these things and you have these discussions, and it's almost like it's the environment to have those sorts of discussions. So I can sort of picture what it would be like. Also, a similar type of thing on the beach with all the women.
I totally agree. And we've started doing sauna events now as well. And we are very grateful for the neighbourhood sauna where we actually get to book out those sauna sessions and just have women have a safe space, because there are moments where you do get into a sauna with people that you don't know and maybe you might feel uncomfortable. You could have a group of footy boys going in to recover after a game after the weekend, and just this has been my personal experience, so maybe no one else can relate, but you just feel you can't exactly relax. And that might be my own personal values coming out, but I love having those groups of girls where we can actually sit in a sauna and chat, and you can relax your stomach when you're sitting down, or you can bring up your knees and your rolls can be on the side and you don't have to be conscious and suck in all the time. So, yeah, it's a really nice event that we have, and we've actually got one this Sunday, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And just along those lines of the roles and things like that, in the photos that I've seen on Instagram and your other social media, it looks like you've got women of all shapes and sizes, and there's all ages as well, and all different sorts of nationalities as well.
Yeah. So it's definitely become a core part of Seagulls, is accepting our bodies, living in the bodies that we have, and wearing what you want to wear, because there's definitely a culture around beach attire, what you should wear. Oh, you can't wear those bathers because you don't have that body type that fits it. So there's definitely a lot of shame surrounding swimwear and what is a, in quotation marks, bikini body. Everyone can wear a bikini. Everybody is a bikini body. I do not understand that. But for some people, and I've noticed it's also can sometimes be a generational thing where a younger woman will be saying, you can do it, like, empower yourself, wear whatever you want to wear. And then there might be a lady who's of
a certain age, like me.
I was not going to say that.
Feel free.
But there's definitely a group of women that swim at South Beach every morning, and they might be wearing your usual Speedo one pieces, and to them, maybe they think in their minds, I could never wear that, but they can. You can, because they're clothes and you can put them on like any other person. So it's really interesting when you get to that aspect of Seagulls, because I feel like there's a lot to it, and you can go many places with that.
I think also, just speaking for myself personally, I used to live like right over the road from the beach many, many years ago, and I never actually went swimming because I felt quite embarrassed about, my body or just going swimming. And so I think that having that group of supportive women where everyone no one cares and it's not judgmental, I think that could be possibly a very positive thing for a lot of the women that attend.
Yeah, I've definitely had feedback from women who have said, you don't understand how much this has helped me. And for me, I've always grown up quite, I've embraced my body from a young age. Sure, there's been bumps along the way throughout teenagehood and then moving into my 20s. But for me, I think my level of insecurity has been, I'm lying down at the beach. Maybe I shouldn't sit that way because my rolls are more prominent rather than having a flat stomach. And those intrusive thoughts to me now are quite surface level compared to the deep and meaningful conversations I've had with other women and what their intrusive thoughts have been. So I've definitely seen an array of what societal standards have really done to our minds and how we constantly think about ourselves and talk to ourselves, and what prevents us from doing the things that we want to do, which could be running into the ocean with a group of women. So, yeah, it's very interesting.
And have you got some, I don't know, maybe a couple of stories that you'd like to share, if you've got permission to do that, with just on that body image piece that has really impacted people who've been along to Seagulls?
Mm-hmm. I think when Seagulls first started, because it was something that I didn't plan on doing, it naturally eventuated. I've constantly been playing catch up, which isn't to say that I'm not enjoying it, but I'm definitely learning as I'm going. I didn't sit down with a business plan and go, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it this way and let's see how it goes. It was literally, it's all been the community, which is so awesome to have, and I'm very privileged to have that, but I'm definitely learning. And one of the things that I learned after the third dip was, at that point, it was not just for women. I said anyone could come down, but it was only women that ever came down. So before it even got to what is Seagulls, I don't even think Seagulls had a name at this point. I had a girl come up to me we had a coffee after our dip at Coogee, and she came up to me, and it was the first person that had ever said something to me about Seagulls. And she said, "Thank you so much. You don't know how important this has been to me. I didn't think I would be here. I was in the mental health ward earlier this week, and I'm wearing a bikini as well. I did not think I'd even be home on a Friday. This is not how I thought my week would go, and I'm here, and I've made some new friends." And it's just, I didn't say thank you at all, because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Like, well done. That's awesome. It wasn't, I don't even think body image and body positivity and acceptance was even in the forefront of my mind at that time. And that one conversation sparked in my mind, oh, maybe this has got something to it. Maybe this is a deeper meaning that Seagulls has provided for women, and it's definitely shaped what Seagulls has now become and what it means to not only me but to other women, for sure.
I also, when I was growing up, when Di and I were growing up, there was a lot of magazines, and you had
Dolly magazine.
Dolly magazine.
One of them.
That was it. That was it. And there was a lot of very thin sort of model type women, and I think today a lot of it's on social media, and you have these perfect looking women and things like that. But then when you actually go to the beach, there's women of all different shapes and sizes, and you realise that that's not the reality. The reality of what you see on social media and in the music videos and in the magazines in the old days, where it's not real, but it makes young women feel that they're not. There's something wrong with them because they're not that sort of unrealistic, really model type physique.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's been a very big part of Seagulls in saying, like I said before, everybody is a bikini body and you can wear whatever you want to wear. And we have girls come down and will get in the water in T-shirt and shorts and no one bats an eyelid. It was only recently that I was actually watching some videos back of people getting into the ocean that I realised the variety of what people were wearing and the different body shapes and types. And something I tend to say to the girls is when I say, okay, now is the time to get into your bathers, I have to word that very carefully, because apparently one time I said, now it's time to get undressed, or it's time to get naked or something, and I came across wrong, and some girls came up to me and said, I don't think you realise you said this, but it sounded like you wanted us to get naked. I was like, oh my God, absolutely not. That is not what I wanted. So I make sure to always say, now's the time to get into your bathers. Whenever I say that, I will sometimes say, if this is a moment where you get uncomfortable and nervous, I promise everyone is so concerned about themselves, they're not looking at you. And it's so true, because if you think about it, a lot of girls will tend to take off their shorts and go and suck in, and they're thinking about themselves. They're not looking at anyone else. So it definitely depends on the type of morning and what kind of the number of the people in the group that I've got with me, depending on, I choose to say some things depending on the context, but that's been something that I've said because bodies and the beach have a very heavy association, and we're trying to break that.
This podcast is brought to you by my business, Coming Up for Air. That's coming up number 4, Air. This is a business which cultivates curiosity, compassion and courage through executive coaching, workshops and leaders' retreats. Donna, you've been to one of my retreats.
Yes, and as a senior leader, I decided to invest in myself and go for a day. It was on the weekend, a full day retreat. I'm so glad I did go. It was just what I needed in my life at that time. We spent time on our own, reflecting on questions that you gave us, Di. We spent time with others there, being creative, which I don't often get the chance to do in everyday life. And my absolute favourite part was spending some time with the horses that were on the property. The horses have such a calming effect, and I just left the retreat feeling completely rejuvenated and had time to think about some important life questions that you don't usually take the time out to think about.
Thanks, Donna, and I didn't pay her to say that. I do run retreats at various times through the year, which are open retreats, ideal for leaders, just as you said, Donna, to get away from the busyness of work and life, and often we don't take this time to invest in ourselves. You can find me on Instagram or at comingupnumber4air.com.
Do you have people coming along, women coming along who are not from Australia originally and so therefore have not really grown up with this beach? You know, my husband's Mauritian and his family, well, Mauritius has got a lot of beaches, but interestingly there's a lot of people that don't know how to swim there and they don't go swimming where there's waves and things like that. So that some of them are quite scared of the beaches here. And then that whole thing with sharks and things like that. So do you have women that come along that really haven't ever been to the beach before and things like that, and they get their confidence about actually going into the water?
Yes, we have. We had a woman that had moved to Australia recently and she'd never been to the beach, and we didn't know that until she was in the water. Luckily, we were at Rockingham Beach, which is very flat it's quite far that it goes quite flat and shallow as well. And Mids, who's a lovely gal on our team, we call her our mermaid. She's just given birth to her first baby boy, Rowan. He's adorable. She went, oh my God, because we're trained in our bronze medallions to make sure that people are safe, but we're not lifeguards. So someone says to us, oh, this is my first time in the ocean. I tend to say, right, let's not give me a heart attack. You're going to stay over there and not push yourself today. I want you to enjoy yourself. But this isn't the type of group to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to try swim to Rottnest. This is a great time to do that. Let's go out quite deep, because obviously safety is the number one important thing for us. But yes, we have had a woman say, oh, this is my first time in the ocean. She was very calm. But we've actually had a woman recently message us saying, once I complete level 12 of swimming lessons, I'll come to Seagulls. And she's getting swimming lessons to be able to come, which is so special to think that someone is using Seagulls as a goal for something.
Absolutely.
It's quite a special moment when she messaged me and said that.
Do you do actual swimming, like, you know, laps up and down, or do you just go into the water, or it depends? Or
We just go into the water, but there was one woman recently that didn't understand what we do. She just saw us on social media, or a friend recommended her, and she had this whole get up, and it was around Christmas time, and we have one of our regulars, Leash, and I saw her sitting down absolutely laughing her socks off, and she said, look to your left, and this woman, we were all sitting down having conversations. This woman just ran straight into the ocean. And I said, what's going on? Does she not like this or anything? And I was worried that she didn't like it, or she didn't agree with something that we suggested as a prompt. And Leash, our regular, said, no, she thought we were a swimming group, which is why she's got the whole get up. She's just gone, stuff this, and ran straight into the ocean. And I said, you know what? She can do her. That's completely fine. And she started doing laps. So we now have a safety speech. And at the start of that, we say, we want to let you know we are a dipping group, not a swimming group. We will not teach you how to swim. So we've prevented that from happening again. But, yeah, it was quite funny at the time.
Good to know. Good to set expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always call that teabagging, when you go in the when you just have a dip in the water, but you don't do laps and things like that, which is what I usually do, the teabagging. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Tara, I love how you've talked about the organicness of how this has gone, both from the point of view of sort of, I didn't really intend any of this, So I love that beginning of your story where it was just like, I'm just going to kind of go down and do it. And then this has all emerged. And I'm also interested about the sort of idea that how community actually grows and kind of organically generates itself almost. Has that been your experience with Seagulls, that the community creates community which creates community kind of thing?
Absolutely. Word of mouth has been one of the main things that has really driven Seagulls. And I think when one person goes to something and they really enjoy it, they go home, oh, Mum, I went to this today. You should totally go. You'd so enjoy it. I think it'd be great for you. And we have a mother and daughter duo that come to almost every dip, and they're absolutely wonderful. And it's so nice to have those people coming back, and then maybe they bring their families, and especially when we have Seagulls and Pals dips, which is when we invite any gender, and a lot of wives tend to bring their husbands and their sons and stuff.
Gorgeous.
So when we see families come down, it's so nice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can put a face to a name, and this is so lovely to meet you. So I will always say that social media has definitely played a massive part in the growth of Seagulls, because that's where it started. But at the end of the day, what's maintained it has been word of mouth, community, enjoying something, and especially for people who have just moved to Perth and they're really seeking that connection, because Perth can be, one, it is the most isolated city in the world, but two, it is quite isolating apparently. So having that place where you can go to and do an activity that you enjoy really brings people back.
Totally. I mean, I was away in Scotland for nearly 30 years. I left when I was 21, came back late 40s, and I came back thinking, yeah, I've definitely got some friends from uni and, childhood. But at the end of the day, you have to almost start again if you're new to an area. And I think part of the fabric of Perth is that it is the most isolated city in the world, and people can be more insular than I had realised in some ways. And it's not a criticism, but if you never leave, or if you don't have any reason to reach out because you've got a really great cohesive group of people, I think people are seeking, and I certainly was when I came back, seeking actually a community. And, I think in days gone by, community might have been churches, or it might have been clubs of some kind that we naturally kind of had in our society. And now there's maybe other types of communities. People have that desire for that, but not necessarily in some of those traditional ways. For me, I deliberately sought out sailing, or, something that would bring me that sense of community, which it has. But there's something in us as human beings that thrives in community.
Absolutely. And I think having something that is going to be a regular part of your life, that is in close proximity to you, is something that aligns with your values, is something that you can really invest in. And especially that's something that I've always kept close, because Seagulls has always been you come down to the beach for free, you have a dip and you go home. And that has, for me, been the core of Seagulls. And whilst it looked like a surface level group, and especially a lot of people walking by on the beach go, what is this? This is a cult, a group of women. What are they doing now? Oh, my goodness. Can't control them. There's a lot of comments.
Marvellous. Love a bit of uncontrolled women.
Yeah. We've had all sorts of names called out, mostly nice ones, which has been great. It's been an interesting journey being out in public. Obviously, there's people walking past that don't quite understand what's going on, but having that community there, and I completely forgot your question, so now I'm just rambling.
Oh, that's okay. So let's just, rambling's good as well, because it kind of takes us into places that we maybe didn't plan as well.
That's true, yeah.
But thinking about community and think about what people are looking for, I guess, and I hear you talk a lot about that values base. So on the surface, it might look like we're just a bunch of mad women going in for a dip or running about in bikinis. But that values piece, really there's something that connects us because of the deeper piece there. So what else are you hearing from your women about why they stay or why they come back?
I think there's definitely a theme around what happened to me, is that you just don't go to the beach that early in the morning. We get so busy with work, our lives, especially mothers, they're taking care of their children and going to school. They don't have time to wake up in the morning and go for a beach dip. They might have to get someone to look after the kids. So we're just so busy. And I think taking the leap of faith to do something for yourself in the morning, that is so rewarding, because 1, you're up before everyone else. 2, you jumped in cold water. 3, it's just a beautiful landscape. 4, you're with other women doing it too.
So some of those mums and were taking a bit of time out for themselves and coming up in the morning because that was the only time of the day that they might get time to themselves.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people that don't live next to or near the beach, it's not really something that's going to be within their daily routine, is it, unless you're willing to take that journey. So for a lot of women, they say, I can't believe I haven't done this before. I'll totally be back. Like, it's always sunsets that Perth are really hyped up on. Why not the sunrises? So women will come back for that. But we've seen core friendship groups really develop through Seagulls. And I had a girl come up to me the other day saying, I just want to let you know I'm travelling interstate and not coming back. I'm moving. I've been here from the beginning and I wanted to say thank you. And I gave her a massive hug because I recognised her and I'd definitely seen her face amongst the crowds throughout the last 2 years. But she said, I'm here with the friends that I met the first time. I never knew them any other way. And we go and do coffee dates and go to the movies together, and they've really become a core group of friends. So I've definitely seen friendships really develop, grow and thrive, because sometimes when we're with friends, we go, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. We're the little gap that gives you, we're the little activity that your friends can do together for free as well, which is so exciting. But when we start having those conversations either on the sand where we give you a prompt or get in the water, that's when you can actually connect with women, and maybe someone will say something that you really resonate with and you can actually feel level with someone that has gone through either the same experience as you and you connect with them, or a completely different experience that you want to know more about. And there's definitely something about community where people are really thriving, especially after COVID, where we were all isolated for so long. We really just can connect with people and we want to connect with people. Some people will say, I'm a total introvert and I don't want to talk to anyone, but there's definitely people out there that still want that connection, and Seagulls is that place for it.
That's fantastic. I find that also, because I go and do the park runs every Saturday morning, and so that's a free event with the 5K. You do a 5K walk or a 5K run, and there's all different ones around the world. And I also find that with that there's like a sense of community and everyone's very friendly, and it doesn't matter how fast or slow you are. And a lot of people, that's kind of the highlight of their week, especially if they live on their own, because it's just that connection and you're doing an activity together. So you've got something to talk about, which I'm sure it would be the same. Oh, wow, we managed to get into this cold water or whatever with Seagulls. And I think it's a real sort of you've got common ground to talk about to start with because you're doing an activity together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like if you're on a train with a whole bunch of women, you may be on the train for 40 minutes, but you're not going to talk, whereas you're at Seagulls for 40 minutes, but you're all talking because you're doing something that you're passionate about and you want to do and you want to be there. So just seeing the conversations that happen, and maybe I drop a little ear into some conversations sometimes, and there might be tears, there might be laughter, and sometimes when tears happen I go, oh my God, I hope they're okay, and I want to jump in, but I have to remind myself to step back because it might be happy tears, and even if they are sad tears, I see someone hug them or just give them support, and it might be something that they haven't been comfortable sharing with their family or their close friends or their partner, but because they're in a supportive and welcoming space, they feel like they can open up, and seeing that happen is so wonderful and rewarding, and I'm very grateful that women can feel safe enough at Seagulls to share those stories and their experiences.
This podcast is brought to you by my weekly newsletter, which is Donna's Balcony Views newsletter. This is a short weekly free newsletter that I write with the theme of building resilience and improving wellbeing. It contains 2 things I've experienced, 2 things I've learnt from others, such as speakers, podcasts, books or articles, and a personal story from someone else about what they do for their resilience or their well-being.
What I love about your newsletter, Donna, is it's really bite-sized and it's extremely easy to read. In a couple of minutes, I've got some great resources and some little tips that I might try. And I read it this morning again, and it just gave me some idea of what I could focus on, some morning questions and some evening questions, and I'm really enjoying it.
If you would like to sign up for my weekly newsletter, my free weekly newsletter, go to my personal website, which is www.donnasbalconyviews.com.au, or on Instagram at Donna's Balcony Views.
And Tara, I can relate to the bit where you want to jump in and kind of go, I'm sort of seen as the leader here and maybe it's my responsibility. I don't know if that's what you were alluding to.
100%, yeah.
I think one of the really lovely things that I'm hearing is that, others have the permission to do that. Do you see yourself as the leader?
I do now. In the beginning, no, because because I'm constantly keeping up with this ever-growing snowball of community where it's them. In my mind, it's all them. They started it. They're the ones. If they're not there, there's no community. There's definitely a community online, but a lot of them, the community online are the girls that come to the events. So it's only been within the last year that the team and I have really ramped it up a notch and gone, you know what? We want to make this a non-for-profit. You know what? We want this to be our lives. I want to do this for a job until the day I retire. I found my calling. I found my ikigai, and I know that this is what I want to do. So now we're in this process and phase where we want to make this happen. So what can we do to get there? And so we're investing a lot of time and amongst our full-time, part-time jobs and study to make sure that this is a space that does not go away. And I've definitely had to take on that leader hat, and I definitely want to make sure that I'm carrying this in the most supportive way possible. I'm very aware of how people feel, and I always want to make sure that that person sitting at the back of the group at the beach can hear me. I want to make sure that that girl that doesn't get in the ocean is okay. I want everyone to know that I have their back, and that's something that I've definitely taken in my stride, and that's definitely a big part of being the leader of Seagulls. Yeah.
And there's something about what you're starting to tell us a little bit about what the future could look like, because it sounds like it's grown really organically, and now you're starting to really claim the value that it brings to people, and also there's a bit of a sense of the vision for the future.
Yeah.
But you're also studying, you're finishing your master's, is that right?
Yeah. I'll finish my master's this time next year. I've had to push it back because I'm going on a holiday. Because that's important to take time out, because ever since graduating high school, which will be 10 years next year, oh my God, that can't be right. Maybe it is. Anyway.
I think it might be.
It might be. Anyway, in that 10 years, I've constantly been studying. So I feel like I've been in, I don't know how else to describe it, but I feel like I've been in this middle waiting mode, like the calm before the storm, and the storm to me is your career. And because I've been studying to be a psychologist, then I changed direction 3 times. I wanted to be an OT, then I changed to psych, and now I've changed to being a counsellor. So I felt like for the past 9 years so far, I've just been in this waiting phase, waiting to graduate, to have a job, to do the thing that I've been studying so hard for. And I'm so grateful that Seagulls has come along in that gap, the one gap year that I had in 2022, because that has given me so much more purpose. But I definitely see an alignment between what I really value in human connection and the brain, and understanding how people work, and wanting to be that support person for someone as a counsellor, and how Seagulls runs. I think if someone else that doesn't come from a psych background or doesn't have that drive, that passion, it could be run in a completely different way. So I think that's kind of the direction that we're going in, and I'm very grateful that 2 things that I have side by side are aligned in some way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there are many locations now. Seagulls has grown.
Yeah.
I read there was Southwest, Broome, Gold Coast, Newcastle, Sydney, Wollongong.
Yeah.
So who's running all of those, and how can people join Seagulls?
So we've got the lovely Karen running Broome up north. She was our first location to open. I was very reluctant to open any locations, but Karen came across as this absolute ray of sunshine, and she really wanted to take the values of Seagulls, and I knew from the get-go that I could trust her. The way that she runs Broome, I want to go up there so bad and actually join in.
I think everyone would like to go up to Broome.
I know.
To join in.
I think you have to go to Broome. Come on.
There is totally a Australia trip happening where I have to hit all the locations, surely. The team are absolutely on my back about doing that one day, the Perth team. If you want to join in on the Seagulls Broome location, all of the locations have their own Instagrams, but they are obviously seasonal because we don't like crocodiles and we don't like stingers. Important thing to note. Seagulls Southwest, which was originally called Seagulls Pop-Up, Kate is running that with the lovely Belle. Kate moved from the UK and I think South Africa as well. She jumped around a few places and travelled and has settled here. She's now moved down south, and I originally called it Seagulls Pop-Up because she could have taken it anywhere that she wanted, but she recently told me, you know what, I found my home. I'm going to stay here. So now it's Seagulls Southwest. So that's our newest location. They've got their own Instagram.
Which town is that in the southwest?
So I think they dip anywhere along Bunker Bay, Yallingup, Dunsborough, sometimes Margaret River, but not so much.
Okay.
So they jump around. Our Wollongong and Sydney locations are currently on hold. We're waiting to find our next mermaids to run those locations. And then we've got Chloe running Seagulls Gold Coast, and we've got Ashley and Lucy running our Seagulls Newcastle group. So all of the locations can be found on the Seagulls Instagram profile picture, the pinned post at the top of our profile. It's all there, and we really encourage any girl to go along, even if they've been to a Seagulls in Perth, checking out another location. That would be awesome.
And if we have any listeners, because we do have listeners from all around Australia, and they're interested in joining or even setting up a group themselves in a different place, then contact you.
Absolutely. We're looking for a Rockingham gal at the moment because everyone is pestering me to come down to Rockingham. But for everyone, I live an hour away, okay? Yeah. It's very, very far away. Coogee is the furthest I will go. So, we're looking for a Rockingham mermaid at the moment.
Well, hopefully, maybe we'll find one on here for you.
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
Is there any sort of last messages you'd like to give to people, or discuss anything else that you'd want the listeners to know about you or about Seagulls, or just generally?
I think a reminder that I'd love to give any person that would like to come to Seagulls is it's so easy to hit snooze and go, you know what, I'm not going to go because no one will know if I was there or not there. I didn't put it up on social media, so no one will know. But we miss you if you don't come, and I promise that it is so rewarding when you do attend. I know it might be hard to set that alarm, set all your bathers up the night beforehand and your clothes, and then obviously if you've got to go to work afterwards, there's a bit of maintenance and admin that's involved depending on your context, but you can come by yourself, and a lot of other women come by themselves, and we actually encourage it because you don't have the buffer of your friends or family that are with you that prevents you from talking to other people. And it's nice to just do something for yourself. So if you want to come to Seagulls, we are here for you. If you're nervous about not being able to talk to anyone or not having someone to talk to me. I'm here. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. So please come, and if you are nervous, we're always on Instagram or Facebook, so flick us a message.
And I think also it's a good example of sort of courage over comfort, and usually when you do take that kind of scary step, the first step, it's usually always turns out well and you're always glad you've done it. And I bet you every single person that jumps in the ocean early in the morning feels totally invigorated and very, very pleased that they've come along.
Absolutely. And if you're brave, you'll start in winter because sometimes it gets down to 6 degrees and it's definitely a teabagging, as you call it. It's an in and an out. And yes, the sand is colder than the ocean. So there's lots of tips and tricks and hacks that you pick up along the way to be able to survive the beach in winter, but you can do it and we'll be here for you if you decide to come.
I think, Donna, you and I should make a pact to go to Seagulls.
Absolutely.
In the next wee while. We'll come and join you.
Yes.
And so you heard it, well, I'm speaking on behalf of Donna. I probably shouldn't do that.
You're roped in.
Yeah.
But we'll get the double Ds down there.
Yes.
Bikini, Donna?
Yeah. Oh,
bikini?
well.
Whatever you
Sure
feel
about that, but yeah.
But I did want to, just before we break, I do know that you're also looking at a quite exciting little add-on to Seagulls. Do you want to tell us about what's in the pipeline, maybe for a little bit of merch coming along?
Yes. I literally, before this interview, just got our first photos of our first sample of our bathers, which is so exciting. This is something that I've wanted to do since Seagulls started. It's hopefully going to be a very size-inclusive range, and we're going to start in one area of the swimwear world and we'll go from there, and it's going to be great and it's going to be community driven, and fingers crossed it all turns out, but very exciting and we can't wait to share more with you.
Excellent.
Well, look, Tara, we've loved having you on, and we just wish Seagull and you every success with whatever shape that organically turns into next, and we really look forward to following your journey. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it and had a great time.
Thanks so much for listening today. We really appreciate you, our listeners. Please like and follow us and share in whatever medium you're on. That really supports us. But we also would love to hear from you if you have a guest that you think would love to share their story. We'd love to do that so that we can get even more stories of courage and resilience out into the world. Oh, that was so refreshing hearing from Tara. What I loved, I mean, she's about the same age as my kids. And there she is. She just jumps into the sea one day, and before she knows it, she's got 25,000 followers and a community that she's growing. And what I loved about it was just the energy that she brings. But also, like, if more of us just took an idea and let it happen and see what happens organically. It was just so refreshing.
Absolutely. And you hear stories about people that have these viral videos and viral things on TikTok, but we've actually met a real life person who's done it. And not only that, Di, we can decide whether we were going to go to the Gold Coast Seagulls or the Broome Seagulls.
I know. Well, I was thinking about Scotland Seagulls, and there's plenty of cold water swimmers out there. But also for our listeners around the world, she wasn't kidding when she talked about crocodiles, stingers, and we could mention sharks, we could mention all sorts of other deadly creatures. So that is the life of the seagulls in Australia. Watch out.
Absolutely.